If you wait for a rescue, you'll drown in shallow water. Nobody is coming to save you, and that's your greatest freedom. There was a town that always waited. When storms came, they watched the horizon for helicopters. When droughts came, they prayed for pipes. When lights went out, they lit candles and stared at the power lines. They called it faith. Really, it was habit. In that town lived a courier named Eli. He carried packages in a squeaky cart, nodding at neighbors who said, "One day someone will fix this place." Eli used to nod back. Then one winter, the river rose without asking permission. Water seeped under doors like a rumor. People climbed to rooftops and stared at the sky, listening for the thump of rotors. "They'll come," they said. Hours passed. The river kept its own schedule. Eli stood ankle-deep in his kitchen, eyes on the family photo stuck to the fridge by a magnet. He saw the tin boat he'd repaired every spring, but never used, because someone else always showed up. He heard the echo of a sentence his father used to say, "When you hand your life to hope, make sure hope has a name." He waded to the shed. The padlock rusted, then snapped. He dragged the boat to the curb while the street turned into a slow brown current. A neighbor shouted, "Wait for the rescue!" Eli shouted back, "I'm starting one." He rowed. Badly at first, oar slipping, knuckles raw, breath ragged. He overshot a turn, hit a mailbox, apologized to no one. But the second house he reached held a boy on the kitchen table and a grandmother on a chair. "No one's coming?" the boy asked. "We are," Eli said. Eli learned the river like a language. He learned which fences hid under the water by the way the current curled. He learned to tie a line to the stop sign and ferry people in threes. He learned that panic is loud and courage is repetitive. On the third trip, the oar lock cracked. He wrapped it with a belt where a badge might live. On the fifth, his shoulders burned. On the seventh, the city sirens finally wailed toward the horizon, but the sound was far and the houses were near. People stopped saying, "When will they get here?" They started saying, "Where do we go?" Eli pointed. Church with the red door, hill with the old oak, the school with the dry gym. He answered like a map, because he had become one. Night brought cold. A man with a flashlight yelled that the current had taken the bridge. Someone cried that insulin was running low. The boat took on water, and Eli's hands shook as he bailed with a plastic food container. He wanted to sit down and wait for sirens to turn into hands. He thought about helicopters and headlines, about heroes with uniforms. He looked at his blistered palms and realized they were uniforms, issued by need. He knocked on doors till his knuckles tapped wood like a metronome. He found a ladder, a tarp, and a roll of duct tape that could have been a miracle if miracles had brand names. He patched the leak. He paddled again. By dawn, the river began to fall, ashamed of itself. The helicopters arrived, late and loud, skimming the town like apologies. They found clusters of people on the hill, organized, blankets passed hand to hand, names written on paper plates, kids coloring with borrowed pens. A rescuer in a bright vest asked, "Who coordinated this?" Eli looked at his belt-wrapped oar and said, "We did." The rescuer nodded. "Good work." Eli felt tired enough to sleep on sunlight and awake enough to row the sky. When the water drained back into the riverbed, the town remembered. They remembered that waiting is a story with no protagonist. They remembered that hope is not a helicopter. It's a habit you practice until it's muscle memory. People fixed porch steps without a committee. Teens cleared debris without a sign-up sheet. The power came back because lines were repaired by people, not prayers alone. And Eli? He kept the boat, not as a trophy, but as a mirror. Listen, nobody is coming to save you. Not because you are unworthy, but because the person most qualified to change your life is already in your shoes. Rescue is not an arrival. Rescue is a decision repeated. Pick up your oars. Row toward the first door, then the next. And watch how the world learns your name for hope.